Charisma Kusha Chronicles is a series of videos that I'm making in order to record my story, my history, my circumstances, the things, the societal pressures that acted upon me as I made my decisions growing up. Today, I'm going to tell a story or narrate a story about my friend Lancelot Vito Mutsvangwa, who I met in January 1966 at Highfield Secondary School. I had been at Goromonzi in 1964 and 65 after graduating as a standard 6 student with 3 points, or it was first division, English 1, arithmetic 1, and the overall grade was first grade. So with that qualification, I remember my father giving me some money to go and look for a place at Koromonzi. And I went there on a Saturday. Why I thought, or why my father thought that Saturday was the best day, I don't know. But I boarded a Mumugwi bus to Koromonzi for 1 shilling and 3 pence. Or is it 1 and tiki at that time? I got there, the school, and found that the offices were closed. There were 3 of us. We went around the school. We came to Mr. Chagonda's house, who I suppose at that time was the senior master. He enrolled us, but there was no bus going back. So we had to put up at Koromonzi, and he gladly did so. Early in the morning, as per my habit, I got up, asked for the brooms, and with those 2 friends, we cleaned his house. And when it was time, I boarded my bus back to Salisbury. However, the tour of Goromonzi lasted only for 2 years. In 1964, there were 3 Form 1 classes, and these were to progress up to Form 2, but there was a bottleneck at Form 3 and Form 4. So it was that bottleneck that I was not able to cross, which landed me at Highfield Secondary School. But Highfield Secondary School was not what I would call my best choice. My father wanted me to be a student. The thought of getting employment was a no-no to him, because at Form 2, you could be employed as a clerk in Mabaran. So he asked Mr. Pasha, who was a teacher at my primary school at George Stark and a church member. My father hired his Vaxo, no, it wasn't a Vaxo, an Opel, drove us to Mazoe Secondary School, which was nearby, but the headmaster was not interested in my results. He said that they were not good enough for Mazoe Secondary School, and he was not prepared to take a character like me. I wrote 10 subjects, passed them all with different grades, which varied from the top, very good, good, and pass, and the bottom was fail. My father really wondered why that headmaster could not admit me, because he said that he was not interested in characters like me. Mr. Pasha then read my report, and on it was my form teacher's comment. That form teacher was Mr. Hasbrook, where he stated that I was a mischievous boy. So I was not able to get a place at Mazoe. My father, being my father without any secondary schooling, he had read my report, but he never understood the meaning of the word mischievous, and I was not the first one to volunteer to give him the proper translation. He got visibly angry, but in the end, he said that you are my son, and it is my responsibility to give you an education. We drove to Seke, to Nyatsime College, where the principal, I can't remember his name now, but I had kept his name for many, many years, because he is the one who said something that has driven me as a student. He looked at my report and said, no, he was not taking me. My father pleaded with him, at least asking him to, to write my name on the waiting list. And the answer he gave has never gone out of my mind. He said, old man, I'm going to write down his name. Not that I'm promising him a place, but I just write it down so that I can get rid of you. That statement made to my father was a complete humiliation on him, and more importantly, on me. So over the years in my schooling life, whenever I wanted to be mischievous, I always remembered that statement. That statement drove me forward. Come Monday, I went to Harare High. The front office was mobbed by people who look for places, and the headmaster, whose name I cannot remember, maybe it was Trulen, I'm not sure. Trulen could have been a primary school teacher, a primary principal, can't remember. But so he locked himself out and was not admitting anybody. So I decided to go to Highfield High, where I presented my results, and I was asked to bring in a certificate from the superintendent that showed that I was a bona fide resident in Highfield. So after all those formalities, I got a place at Highfield High. This messenger accompanied me to the 3A classroom, knocked on the door and was told to come in. He introduced me to the teacher who was taking the lesson at that time. He directed me to an empty desk right on the wall where we have the small windows, because the bigger windows had been occupied by the veterans of Highfield High, because sometimes if lessons were boring, the magnificent view of Egypt and the goings on outside the classroom. So the bell went. The teacher got out, and in no time, almost all the boys came forward and surrounded me and asked me what happened in the headmaster's office. I was surprised by that question. How did they know? Because what had happened there was what Oliver Mtukudzi would sing, ndozviudza aniko, ndiani anganditeererawo, rega ndinyarare. So with pressure and them looking at me, I explained what happened. When I got into that office, Mr. Beck, this white headmaster with a very fat, sweating face, called me to stand by side of his chair. He asked me to drop my pants and my underwear and started fondling me, saying that he just wanted to verify my age. Then he asked me to pull them up. I would say I actually froze. I didn't know why he was doing that. It was shocking. While I'm saying I froze, but the temperature around my head was very high. I was disgusted. So when I was taken to the class, I kept wondering, following the messenger to the classroom. When I finished narrating that story, the boys cheered, said, "Yes, you have told the truth." What I gathered then was that was his habit for any boy that went into his office. Whether he did more than that to the other students, I don't know. You know, that was abuse. If my fellow students had not me challenged on this question, and if I had not bared my breast, I think I would have been living with a stigma in my life and in my mind. After that, Lancelot, Thomas Ruvire, reassured me and advised me that if I were to be called to the headmaster's office, I should refuse. This is what the boys did. If the headmaster really wanted to see any of us, he would have to come to our classroom. So from that day, somehow I created a bond between me and Lancelot. In order for this video to be watched without any pressure, I'll just call this one the first part, and the other parts will be posted separately.